Imagine waking up in the middle of the night to the sound of your doorbell ringing. You're disoriented, groggy, and trying to piece together what's going on. But what you don't know is that this small moment of confusion will soon turn into a nightmare that you'll never forget. This is the chilling story of what happened to the Miller family, who lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood tucked away from the chaos of city life. It was a peaceful home, nestled on a sleepy street where everyone knew each other, or so they thought. It was a Friday night when it all began. Lisa Miller and her husband Dave had just settled into bed after a long week. Their 2 young children were already asleep in their rooms, and the house was quiet. The only sounds were the hum of the refrigerator and the distant noise of a car passing by every now and then. Lisa was nearly asleep when she heard it. A sudden, sharp ding-dong from the front door. She froze. It was 3 a.m. Who could possibly be at the door at this hour? She lay still for a moment, her heart racing. Dave hadn't heard anything, so Lisa nudged him. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Dave groggily shook his head. "Probably just the wind," he muttered, pulling the covers over his head, but Lisa's instincts told her otherwise. She had never been one to jump at shadows, but something about the timing of the ring felt off. Lisa grabbed her phone and opened the security camera app to check the footage from the doorbell camera. What she saw would send chills down her spine. The screen displayed a stranger standing at the front door, staring directly at the camera. He was wearing a dark hoodie, his face obscured by the shadows of the night. His eyes were wide open, unblinking, locked on the camera lens as though he knew Lisa was watching. For a moment, Lisa was frozen, unsure of what to do. The man didn't move. He didn't ring the bell again, nor did he knock. He just stood there. The eerie stillness of it was unsettling. Why was he standing there in the dark, staring at the camera like that? Lisa tapped the screen to speak through the intercom. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice shaking with unease. To her surprise, the stranger didn't respond. Instead, he reached up and pressed his hand against the door, resting it there for several seconds. Then, without a word, he slowly stepped away from the door and disappeared into the darkness of the front yard. Lisa's mind raced. Who was this man? What did he want, and why didn't he speak? She immediately alerted Dave, who woke up startled. They both reviewed the footage again, but there was no sound, no explanation for why this man was at their doorstep. What unsettled them further was the fact that the doorbell camera had captured no movement from the man's footsteps, no sounds of him approaching the house. It was almost as though he had materialized in front of their door. Feeling uneasy, Lisa called the police. They arrived quickly, but the stranger was nowhere to be found. They scoured the area, knocked on nearby doors, but no one had seen or heard anything. The officers couldn't do much. They assured Lisa and Dave that it was probably just a prank, but Lisa didn't feel reassured. Something about the man's presence felt wrong, like he wasn't just a random passerby. It was as if he was intentionally targeting their house. As the night stretched on, the Millers tried to put it out of their minds, but Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. They locked all the windows and doors, double-checked the security system, and set the alarm. Yet, despite all their precautions, the sense of dread lingered. The next morning, they were still on edge. Dave was sitting at the kitchen table when the doorbell rang again. He went to the door, but no one was there. There was no sign of anyone in the yard. Nothing at all. Confused and more than a little freaked out, Dave checked the footage from the security camera. What he saw made his blood run cold. The video from that morning showed the same stranger standing at the door again. But this time, he wasn't alone. Behind him, in the background, there was another figure, a shadowy figure that appeared to be standing motionless by the trees at the edge of the yard. The figure was just out of focus, blending with the night. But there was no mistaking that. Someone was watching. The stranger once again pressed his hand against the door and stood there for several seconds, just like before. But this time, when he pulled away, the second figure moved. Slowly, it began to step forward, creeping toward the front door. The camera captured only the faintest glimpse of it, but enough to make Lisa's heart race. That's when the police decided to get involved again. They launched a more thorough investigation into the Millers' neighborhood, checking for anyone who might have been acting suspiciously. They also reviewed other footage from surrounding homes and found that a similar figure had been spotted on at least 3 other doorbell cameras in the neighborhood. The mystery deepened. One of the neighbors reported that they had also seen the man standing motionless in their yard at night, staring into their windows. It was always at night, always after 3 a.m., and always with no explanation. Yet, none of the neighbors had ever confronted him. They just assumed it was some strange figure wandering through the neighborhood. The police eventually got a break in the case. A local store owner reported seeing a man buying unusual supplies, a large flashlight, heavy-duty gloves, and dark clothing just days before the incidents began. The man, when questioned, claimed he had no idea what the police were talking about, but the items he had bought matched the ones seen in the doorbell footage. After some further investigation, they discovered that the man had been in and out of town, staying at different motels. He had a criminal record, but nothing that seemed to explain his obsession with the Millers' neighborhood. To this day, the stranger has never been caught. The Millers moved out of the neighborhood, but they still have no idea what he wanted. The doorbell camera footage was handed over to investigators, but it was never definitively linked to any crime. And the second figure, it remains a mystery. As for the Millers, they now live in a different home, far from that suburban street, but they will never forget the man who knocked at 3 a.m., the shadow that followed him. If you found this story unsettling, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more terrifying real-life mysteries. And remember, sometimes, the things that seem the strangest are the most dangerous.